Today, we are going to learn about NoSQL database. DynamoDB is leading NoSQL database. Welcome to Cloud DEF YouTube channel. Mahendra Rajagood welcomes you. 1. Amazon DynamoDB. Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service. Amazon DynamoDB significantly simplifies the hardware provisioning, setup and configuration, replication, software patching, and cluster scaling of NoSQL databases. Designed to simplify database and cluster management, provide consistently high levels of performance, simplify scalability tasks, and improve reliability with automatic replication. Developers can create a table in Amazon DynamoDB and write an unlimited number of items with consistent latency. Amazon DynamoDB can provide consistent performance levels by automatically distributing the data and traffic for a table over multiple partitions. Amazon DynamoDB will automatically add enough infrastructure capacity to support the requested throughput levels. Amazon DynamoDB will add or remove infrastructure and adjust the internal partitioning accordingly. Amazon DynamoDB also provides automatic high availability and durability protections by replicating data across multiple availability zones within an AWS region. Applications can connect to the Amazon DynamoDB service endpoint and submit requests over HTTP/S to read and write items to a table or even to create and delete tables. Amazon DynamoDB is a key value and document database. It's a fully managed, multi-region, multi-master database with built-in security, backup and restore, and in-memory caching for internet-scale applications. With built-in security, backup and restore, and in-memory caching for internet-scale applications. Always stored on SSD. Data in 3 AZs. Eventually can have dirty reads. 1.1 benefits. 1.1.1 performance at scale. DynamoDB supports some of the world's largest scale applications by providing consistent, single-digit millisecond response times at any scale. DynamoDB Accelerator, DAX, provides a fully managed in-memory cache. 1.1.2 serverless. No servers to provision, patch, or manage and no software to install, maintain, or operate. DynamoDB automatically scales tables up and down to adjust for capacity and maintain performance. Availability and fault tolerance are built in, eliminating the need to architect your applications for these capabilities. 1.1.3 Enterprise Ready. DynamoDB supports ACID transactions to enable you to build business-critical applications at scale. ACID properties. A transaction is a very small unit of a program and it may contain several low-level tasks. A transaction in a database system must maintain atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability, commonly known as ACID properties, in order to ensure accuracy, completeness, and data integrity. Atomicity. This property states that a transaction must be treated as an atomic unit, that is, either all of its operations are executed or none. There must be no state in a database where a transaction is left partially completed. States should be defined either before the execution of the transaction or after the execution/abortion/failure of the transaction. Consistency. The database must remain in a consistent state after any transaction. No transaction should have any adverse effect on the data residing in the database. If the database was in a consistent state before the execution of a transaction, it must remain consistent after the execution of the transaction as well. Durability. The database should be durable enough to hold all its latest updates even if the system fails or restarts. If a transaction updates a chunk of data in a database and commits, then the database will hold the modified data. If a transaction commits but the system fails before the data could be written onto the disk, then that data will be updated once the system springs back into action. Isolation. In a database system where more than one transaction are being executed simultaneously and in parallel, the property of isolation states that all the transactions will be carried out and executed as if it is the only transaction in the system. No transaction will affect the existence of any other transaction. DynamoDB encrypts all data by default and provides fine-grained identity and access control on all your tables. You can create full backups of hundreds of terabytes of data instantly with no performance impact to your tables, and recover to any point in time in the preceding 35 days with no downtime. 1.2 Use cases. Senior hashtag. Industry. Use case. 1. Ad tech. User profile stores in RTB and ad targeting. User events, clickstreams, and impressions data store. Metadata stores for assets. Popular item caches. 2. Gaming. Game states. Player data stores. Player session history data stores. Leaderboards. 3. Retail. Shopping carts. Workflow engines. Inventory tracking and fulfillment. Customer profiles and accounts. 4. Media and entertainment. Media metadata stores. User data stores. Digital rights management data stores. 5. Banking and finance. User transactions. Event-driven transaction processing. Fraud detection. Mainframe offloading and change data capture. 6. Software and Internet. User content metadata stores. Relationship graph data stores. Metadata caches. Ride tracking data stores. User, vehicle, and driver data stores. User vocabulary data stores. 1.3 Data Model. DynamoDB provides a web service API that accepts requests in JSON format. 1.4 Data Types. String. Boolean, Boolean. Byte, Byte. Date, as ISO_8601 millisecond precision string, shifted to UTC. Calendar, as ISO_8601 millisecond precision string, shifted to UTC. Long, long. Integer, int. Double, double. Float, float. Big decimal. Big integer. Document data types. List, each list can be used to store an ordered list of attributes of different data types. Map, each map can be used to store an unordered list of key/value pairs. 1.5 Primary key. You must specify the primary key of the table in addition to the table name. Partition key. The primary key is made of one attribute, a partition, or hash, key. Partition and sort key. The primary key is made of two attributes. The first attribute is the partition key and the second one is the sort, or range, key. Each item in the table is uniquely identified by the combination of its partition and sort key values. It is possible for two items to have the same partition key value, but those two items must have different sort key values. 1.6 Provisioned capacity. When you create an Amazon DynamoDB table, you are required to provision a certain amount of read and write capacity. Overall capacity is measured in read and write capacity units. These values can later be scaled up or down by using an update table action. For example, given a table without a local secondary index, you will consume 1 capacity unit. If you read an item that is 4 KB or smaller. Similarly, for write operations you will consume 1 capacity unit if you write an item that is 1 KB or smaller. This means that if you read an item that is 110 KB, you will consume 28 capacity units, or 110/4 equals 27.5 rounded up to 28. For read operations that are strongly consistent, they will use twice the number of capacity units, or 56 in this example. You can use Amazon CloudWatch to monitor your Amazon DynamoDB capacity and make scaling decisions. There is a rich set of metrics, including consumed read capacity units and consumed write capacity units. If you do exceed your provisioned capacity for a period of time, requests will be throttled and can be retried later. You can monitor and alert on the throttled requests metric using Amazon CloudWatch to notify you of changing usage patterns. 1.7 Secondary indexes. A secondary index lets you query the data in the table using an alternate key, in addition to queries against the primary key. Amazon DynamoDB supports two different kinds of indexes. Global secondary index is an index with a partition and sort key that can be different from those on the table. You can create or delete a global secondary index on a table at any time. Local secondary index. The local secondary index is an index that has the same partition key attribute as the primary key of the table. You can only create. Secondary indexes allow you to search a large table efficiently and avoid an expensive scan operation to find items with specific attributes. While a table can only have one local secondary index, you can have multiple global secondary indexes. 1.8 Writing and reading data. 1.9 Eventual consistency. Eventually consistent reads, the default. The eventual consistency option maximizes your read throughput. However, an eventually consistent read might not reflect the results of a recently completed write. All copies of data usually reach consistency within a second. Repeating a read after a short time should return the updated data. 1.10 Strongly consistency read. A strongly consistent read returns a result that reflects all writes that received a successful response before the read. 1.11 Amazon DynamoDB streams. Amazon DynamoDB streams makes it easy to get a list of item modifications for the last 24-hour period. For example, you might need to calculate metrics on a rolling basis and update a dashboard, or maybe synchronize two tables or log activity and changes to an audit trail. With Amazon DynamoDB streams, these types of applications become easier to build. By reading the log of activity changes from the stream, you can build new integrations or support new reporting requirements that weren't part of the original design. Stream records are organized into groups, also referred to as shards. Each shard acts as a container for multiple stream records and contains information on accessing and iterating through the records. Shards live for a maximum of 24 hours and, with fluctuating load levels, could be split one or more times before they are eventually closed. To build an application that reads from a shard, it is recommended to use the Amazon DynamoDB Streams Kinesis adapter. 1.12 DynamoDB FAQ. DynamoDB supports get/put operations by using a user-defined primary key. Each DynamoDB table has provisioned read throughput and write throughput associated with it. What is the maximum throughput I can provision for a single DynamoDB table? DynamoDB is designed to scale without limits. However, if you want to exceed throughput rates of 10,000 write capacity units or 10,000 read capacity units for an individual table, you must first contact Amazon. The smallest provision throughput you can request is 1 write capacity unit and 1 read capacity unit for both auto-scaling and manual throughput provisioning. 1.13 capacity unit sizes, 4 provision tables. 1 read capacity unit equals 1 strongly consistent read per second, or 2 eventually consistent reads per second, 4 items up to 4 KB in size. 1 write capacity unit equals 1 write per second, 4 items up to 1 KB in size. Transactional read requests require 2 read capacity units to perform 1 read per second for items up to 4 KB. Transactional write requests require 2 write capacity units to perform 1 write per second for items up to 1 KB.